staying with us today as we kick off week 4, which focuses on advancing disability rights globally. Today's conversation is the disability interfaith with a Zen Buddhist meditation with Reverend Ōshin Jennings. I hope that you'll enjoy our kickoff to the week, and thank you for joining us as we continue to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act and look toward the future with programs and events over the next couple of weeks that will address several different conversations and dialogues on many different topics. And so we're excited that you can join us today. I hope you have a good meditation, and I hope that you will join us back this week. Have a great day.
Dr. Knopf, can you wait 1 second? Julie is muted. We need our interpreter. We have no voice for you.
Sorry. Let me back up and we'll start this introduction again. Thank you very much. Technical issues. Interpreter muted. Sorry.
Thank you. Dr. Knopf, could you start from the beginning again?
Yes, I will definitely start again. Thank you for getting the interpreter's technical issues straightened out. So good morning. I would like to welcome you to our Sunday Interfaith session. My name is Dr. Amy Hebert Knopf. I'm the Graduate Director at the Rehabilitation Counseling Program and Addiction Counseling Program at St. Cloud State University. I'm a white female. I'm wearing a black sleeveless shirt. I have gray curly hair and purple cat eyeglasses. I am very honored to introduce Reverend Ōshin Jennings. Reverend Ōshin Jennings is a deaf Buddhist monk. He has more than 20 years of formal Zen Buddhist training. In 2015, he founded No Barriers Zen, which is a meditation community and social justice organization. Now I would like to turn it over to Reverend Jennings to provide his audio description and introduction. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Hello. Good morning to all of you. It is wonderful to be here. I'm so happy that you could join us today. And thank you, Dr. Knopf, for inviting me. My name is Ōshin Jennings, and my name sign is OK on my shoulder. I'm a white man. I have glasses. I have a long flowing black robe on. I'm deaf. I use American Sign Language, so I'm working with an interpreter who's voicing for me. You know, that request to describe who I am, and I want to talk about No Barriers Zen. You know, and what we're doing. Really, our goal is to make peace. We want it available, we want meditation available and accessible for all people. specifically people who historically have had limited access to meditation and other religions like Buddhism. For the last 10 years, I have been a monk. Previous to that, I was a psychologist, or psychotherapist, excuse me. And so I've really joined these two professions together, and I feel like they're a very good match. It's something that a lot of people need in the world. Today, what I would like to do is offer just a little opportunity for meditation and peace and give everyone an introduction on how to use this specific technique. It's been helpful for myself to be able to focus on calming my body and to relax. And I hope that you will find this helpful as well. And it's not a technical, difficult thing. It's very simple, actually. And I think, you know, it's a challenge to develop this practice, but that's okay. It's like riding a bicycle the first time. You may feel awkward and unstable, but as you go along, it becomes easier, and then you're able to ride off on your bicycle. So the first thing I would like to ask you is make sure you're seated in a good, comfortable position for yourself. You don't want to be leaning to the side. You don't want to be leaning back. You want to be sitting straight up, supported on your spine. And it needs to be comfortable for you. If you need to do a stretch to get your shoulders in a comfortable position, please do that. It's all about finding that right, comfortable spot. And again, our heads need to be centered on our spine, not leaning to the side, not forward, not backward. But what's important, it's what's comfortable for you. We need to have a sustainable practice. And we don't want to do something for just 20 minutes once. It's something we want to be able to develop so you can do it for the rest of your life. And that word sustainable, that's what's really important. And so when you use your right hand, and then you put your left hand inside of the right hand, you want to have your thumbs touching each other with just a very light pressure. So you're holding your hands in this position. Again, it's what's comfortable for you. And if that isn't comfortable, just put your hands on your thighs. It's whatever works best for you. And in our tradition, breathing is very important. You don't need to change how you breathe. What you want to do is allow yourself to breathe. And when you first sit down, you want to take a deep breath. So I'm going to have you just follow me. And you can see my hand is guiding you. Take that deep breath. Release your breath. Another deep breath. And release it. Again, in. I want you to feel this breath moving deep into your belly, filling your belly. And one last deep breath and release. Thank you. And in our tradition, We don't close our eyes. We allow our eyes to remain open a little bit. But allow your eyes for the muscles to rest still. We want to make sure, again, this is why our heads need to be upright, centered, and aligned so that our heads aren't turning downward. And while you're breathing, again, you don't need to change how you breathe. We all have different breath patterns. Some people breathe more shallowly. Some people take deeper breaths, and that's okay. It's whatever is comfortable for you. So now I'm going to explain a little bit more about what my body is doing and thinking about what your mind is doing. Right now, the only thing I want you to focus on is your breathing. It may seem a little funny. After I just said, I'm not going to tell you how to change your breathing, but the important part is noticing it and allowing your breath to just happen. And you may ask, why am I asking you to focus on your breathing? We want to make sure as we're meditating together that we're all connected and we're all in this together. And again, we're taking a breath. And I want you to notice how your mind may wander. And that's absolutely okay. When you notice your mind wandering, just gently bring it back. Just recognize that and bring your attention back to your breathing. It's okay. We all, our minds wander for a moment. Thoughts will continue to come up. That is absolutely normal. And that's something that is very human. We can't stop those thoughts from popping up. But what we're working on practicing and training ourselves to do is when they pop up, recognize them, let them go, and bring your attention back to your meditation practice, to your breath. So that's how the breathing helps. Sometimes we count our numbers of breaths. We'll take 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. And then when you become distracted, you're like, oh, I recognize that. And you just start again with breath 1, breath 2, and 3. It's very simple. It's a simple technique, and it's also a fun challenge. So if you are counting your breaths and you do arrive at 10, just start again. 10 is the number that we strive for. Some people may only get to 3 before a distraction comes in. Just remind yourself and know that this is normal. The most important thing is that we need to just remember we can always start again. We're not striving to get the highest number possible. Remember, in life, we may fall many times, but the point is that we always get up and try again. So now let's try to do this meditation technique together. I have a bell that will start our meditation and finish our meditation. And now we're going to proceed with our meditation exercise together. Our hands are in their meditation position, with thumbs gently touching, left hand resting on top of the right hand. Again, if you found your mind wandering, just gently invite yourself to come back to your meditative state. did that feel? Did you enjoy that? Some people may be frustrated. Some people may feel tired. Some people may feel awake and energized. There are so many feelings, and whatever feeling you had, it's okay. There are so many feelings, and some you want to just let go. You don't have to deny them or suppress them. We can just let them go. Just remember, we are open books. That's why our hands are open, so that we can receive and then just let things go if we need to. And I'd like to try to do this again, maybe a little bit longer. This first time we were seeing how it felt. If people have comments and questions, we will definitely entertain those. So right now, again, remember this thing called I. It's a gate. And it moves with our breath. Our breath is like our gate opening and closing. It's helping to discover the things that are inside of us, but also we're discovering the things that are outside of us when our gate is open. And so people can tend to kind of shut down more, but it's important that we need to connect with each other. But we also need to connect with ourselves at that same time. So now I want to take a moment and everybody stretch, move your arms, rotate your neck, shrug your shoulders. I want you to feel your body. Feel how you feel in the space that you're in. Rotate your neck and your head side to side. And now, as we meditate a second time, I want you to notice again your breath as you inhale and exhale. How does the air feel? Does it feel cool as it enters your nostrils? I want you to feel how the air enters your body, and as you exhale the air, how it feels when it's leaving your body. So we're going to try our meditation exercise again. And we're done. Thank you so much. I'm very curious to know what your experience has been like today. I want you all to remember to also be gentle with yourselves. This is just a small taste of what our practice is like. This is a technique you can use at any time. You could use it while riding the bus. Just make sure your feet are firmly planted on the ground. You center yourself, and then you just start noticing your breath. How are you feeling inside your body? You'll notice your pulse rate will go down. Your stress may feel lessened, and those are all very, very good things to happen. You can use this technique at any time. You can use it for just a brief period of time, maybe 5 minutes. Maybe you want to use it for longer. Maybe you want to use it for 30 minutes. The important thing is, again, this is a practice. It's something that you want to make sustainable. You don't want to do it just while you're experiencing pain or hurt. It's something that you do for yourself. And there are always things that you can add to your meditation practice that will help you take care of yourself. So I want to leave some time for questions and answers. Our little Q&A, hopefully we have some people. I really want you to feel free to take advantage of this time. Hello, hello. Dr. Knopf is saying, we do have a number of questions, and Ōshin is saying, I welcome them. So now I'm going to, Dr. Knopf is saying, I'm going to look in the chat box and see what we've got. The person didn't say what their name was, but they're saying, we really appreciate you sharing this with us. It's inspiring. Oh. Thank you, Amy. Yep, I'm going to read the interpreters. The interpreter's going to read the question again. Now I have the chat box open, so it'll be easier. So it says, please share your inspiration and your path to becoming a Buddhist Zen priest. Thank you. That is an excellent question. And many of you may be curious to know this because I'm a deaf monk. I'm the first deaf monk and not actually a priest. So I grew up, and things weren't always easy. I moved around a lot. My life was a little bit crazy. Some drama involved. And at a point I decided, what can I do to help myself to be healthy? I think I was around 13 when this happened. And I started meditating. I figured it out on my own. I did a little reading. And I Googled, and this was before Google understands, so I had to actually pick up a book. I went to the library and I got a book and I read. And I figured out how I could meditate. I worked on different techniques, different hand positions. And basically, I said, what helps me feel connected to myself? What helps me feel calm? It was kind of an experiment. I didn't follow any specific philosophy or any specific scientific practice, but I just kept picking things up little by little. And eventually I did find a teacher that I worked one-on-one with. And I followed this teacher for many years, developing my practice. And eventually I became a Buddhist monk. And you may be curious what that involves and why I wanted to become a Buddhist monk. Because people that may have had the same experience as me, I wanted deaf people to have the same access to this. I think it's not as available for persons with disabilities. And so taking on the responsibility of making these kind of practices accessible little by little has been my challenge and the reason for me doing this. And hopefully that answers your question. Can you share more about your work of the No Barrier Zen Temple? It was a very organic start to this. My becoming a monk, someone approached me and said, do you want to be able to help people and work at other temples and centers? And I said, yeah, I would like to help people. But I'm like, when you want to help someone, it's different than when you're working and developing a meditation practice yourself. So it's about connecting with the community. And so working on accessibility issues like providing interpreters, having information available in Braille. It was a matter of educating people within the Buddhist community first. And so first people actually came to me as students so I could educate them. And then when they were more understanding, they could collaborate with other organizations. And so the temple that I worked with was able to reach out to others in the community. And it's not about, protesting that things aren't right. It's about making sure materials are available. So we've got my challenge was, how do I get this message out in like a 30-second elevator speech, a 30-second presentation to people so that they could easily take it in, digest it, and understand it. That was really my main mission. Thank you so much. The next question, for people that are joining today, we have several people from China, and they are deaf as well. And they want to know, have you ever been to China? Oh, of course. That is so interesting. That concept of Zen, do you all know where this started? It started in China. So of course, yes. And Buddhism, it started in India, and later it moved to China, and then it moved to Korea, and then Japan. So this Buddhism has gradually spread and is now in the United States of America as well. Each place has its own different, shall we say, flavor of how it is practiced. In Japan, when they had the practice brought from China to Japan, each place added its own little parts to the meditation. So it's like it's growing as it moves from area to area. And really the goal is to have this practice help people. And hopefully, as the practice moves from place to place, it can help people with disabilities as well as we add our own pieces in. Oh, yep. And to address specifically, we wanted to ask you, have you actually Yes, I have been to China several times, and I've enjoyed my time there. It's been very fun and interesting for me to compare my practice with how people and Buddhist monks practice in China. There are many similarities. It doesn't matter if you're deaf or if you have a disability, if you're from China, if you're from America. We have a lot of similarities, and we need to remember that. That is a great question. So, how has ASL influenced Zen expression? Excellent question. I think for a long time, I tried to match how they were meditating and how they were doing it in the temple, how hearing able-bodied people were doing the meditation. And so I'm trying to modify to match what they are doing. And trying to find that center, and it was a struggle. And what I finally experienced is when you get to a certain point, and that's why you train. Let me give you an example that may help. They do some chanting. And the challenge for me was using my voice. It was not possible for me to match how a hearing person would chant. And I felt like I was failing. And then a little bit later, I had a teacher ask me, when you're at home and doing your own practice, do you sign or do you use your voice? And I said, when I'm at home, I communicate with sign language. And my teacher challenged me. He said, why don't you sign when you're in temple? And so slowly, I began to develop a way that I can chant using American Sign Language to have a similar expression to the people that were using their voices to chant. And eventually the other monks were actually learning the sign language and learning that they can do that visual language expression in the form of a chant. And later I heard from some other monks, and they expressed to me that as they're practicing, over 30 and 40 years, they've been using their voice, and they said, when I finally learned how to chant using American Sign Language, it opened up a whole new dimension. It allowed things in my body to be able to come out in a different way than when we chanted using our voice. So I think being deaf actually added a benefit to all the people there in my temple. And so in Buddhism, there are many different ways to chant. You can chant using your voice, you can chant in ASL. That's cool. Thank you so much for sharing. That is an excellent way to express that. So the next question that we have is from Steve Anderson. And his question, he says, Reverend Ōshin, thank you so much for being here this morning. I have a physical disability. So my question for you is, how can this kind of meditation work for someone that has a severe disability, a severe physical disability? I've taught people that have CP, I've taught people that are deaf, I've taught people that are deaf-blind. I've taught a variety of different people. And each individual, you can't teach like the same way to everyone else. I think the most important thing is you need to honor and recognize who you are, and you know what your capabilities are. Think about what your goals are. We are all individuals. It doesn't matter if you have CP or are deaf or whatever your personal situation is. The first thing again is we're all breathing, and recognize your breath. Recognize how you're positioned. You know, it may seem abstract, but the first part is knowing who that person is. And in Buddhism, it doesn't matter if a person has a disability. We're all practicing in our own unique ways. We all have different lives. We all have unique ways of being in this world. And the funny thing, the interesting thing that I found when I work with students, whether they're deaf or blind or have cerebral palsy, is we're all concerned. You know, we all are concerned about other people in our lives, our husbands, our wives, our partners. We're the same as everyone in our community, more than we're different. And however you participate in meditation, whether you have cerebral palsy or whether you don't, is the fact that we just need to work together and just recognize who you are and embrace that. Okay, the next question do you find meditation helpful with conditions like anxiety or depression? So before I became a monk, I did some research about mental health and about anxiety and about meditation. And I did some research about creativity as well. So these three things, what I found out, the powerful thing is when you embrace all three within your practice, the most important thing is how you express yourself, how you connect yourself with others. For example, we know when there's anxiety, we want to lessen it, and we do meditation so that we can decrease it. That's always seems to be what people want to do. They want to decrease their anxiety, but it's also a very individual thing how we experience it. But the thing that struck me, and what I suggest people with anxiety to do, or other mental health issues, is to look at these three things. So there's medication, there's therapy, and there's therapy and meditation. So if we combine these three things, there's a lot of power. And I think people can find a lot of success in managing that. And remember, I'm just going to tell you a short story right now. So when I first started doing my research, one of the first projects that I was involved with was related to anxiety and depression and meditation. So I wanted to see how could meditation help with these things. So when I began my study, I surveyed people. I said, how do you feel when you meditate? And I took extensive notes. I did this for 2 weeks, and I taught people how to meditate. We did this process for 2 weeks. Then I repeated the survey that I gave the people. How are you feeling? How is your anxiety and depression affecting you? And most people said that it actually got worse. And I thought that was an interesting discovery. And then I actually looked back at my study and what I found. And the interesting thing I found was the numbers they were reporting got worse. But when they talked with other people, they felt better. And I thought that was so interesting. And, their depression may not change a lot. It may, feel like it's a continuous thing, but they felt like they had a clearer understanding of themselves. So their numbers may not have reported an improvement, but it's about how they can improve their lives, how they can get energy from the meditation, from this practice. And the motivation and the clarity that people have for continuing a practice, and this is again a good reminder that we're not going to fix things necessarily through meditation. You may feel temporarily better, but meditation is something that we want to develop a practice that we're going to continue through our lives, that we can use to manage. Thank you so much, Ōshin. This is so interesting. We have time for one last question. This person's name, Zairon, and this is Zairon's name sign. She's from China. She's here visiting in the United States. And she wants to know, what exact region did your practice of Buddhism come from? I have kind of an odd answer to that question. My practice of Buddhism comes from my heart. It comes from the region of my heart, inside me. I'm from Philadelphia. That's where I grew up. And, my heart is from there. And my Zen study that I studied most is actually from Japan. Around 13, in the 13th century, is when Buddhism went from China to Japan. And your question is interesting to me, actually. American Buddhism? People may say, what is that? I'm wearing maybe clothes that you would think relate more to how people might dress in Japan. And so what is American Buddhism actually? We're still developing, we're still experimenting. And I think, again, we need to look at traditions from various places like Japan. And so I would say the traditions in Japan have had a huge influence on what my practice is like today. And I always say that if I find something that works better, I will adopt that and use that, and I will just let go of the things that aren't serving me anymore. And that is the Zen way. You go with what works. Go with what is in your heart. In your temple, is it all in ASL, or do you have interpreters? Yeah, I'm a deaf guy, and a lot of deaf people do come to my temple. But I would say it's about a 50-50 mix of deaf and hearing people. We have a variety of ways that we express ourselves. We have LGBTQ people. We have Black, Brown, Indigenous, people of color. We have, you know, just a rainbow of people coming to our temple. We have people close to Washington, D.C. from many different areas. And so what I say is, all are welcome to come. And you add in your perspective. All of our experiences, all of our ways of expressing our practice benefits each other. And the diversity is amazing. And I've been invited to do lectures, and of course I have interpreters. Of course we have captioning. We like to have things made accessible. I've done things on Zoom, for example. Technology and access are important. And I've worked with a lot of people with disabilities. Things are being streamed live on the internet. And all of this is making things more accessible, and it's allowing more people to participate. And it's great to have such a variety of people be able to participate. I like that, I enjoy that. And that's the whole point of why I'm doing the things that I do. Please tell me where your temple's located again. It's at Gallaudet University. And we use their chapel space. We gather there. But we also gather in Virginia. So we have 2 different places. We also do have our practice on the internet. I offer retreats. I've been to California. I've been to Germany. I've been to Oregon. Or I've been to Italy. I've been to a variety of different countries presenting retreats. Thank you so much. Our time for today is done. Thank you so much for having me join you. I've really enjoyed it. It's been my pleasure. This has been an amazing session. We have learned so much from you. I have learned from you as well. Every time I connect with people, I learn so much. Thank you again. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.